My parents threw a lavish anniversary party, champagne, chandeliers, and applause. But behind the smiles, they were plotting to take my house, my son, and hand everything to my ex-husband. I would have lost it all if my 16-year-old daughter hadn't uncovered their secret plan in time. My name is Brooke Anderson, and at 34 years old, I never imagined that my 16-year-old daughter would be the one to save me from my own family. It was a warm July evening, the kind where the air felt soft and golden, and everything shimmered with the illusion of perfection. My parents, Richard and Diana Wallace, were celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary at the Oak Ridge Country Club, a venue glowing with elegance. Champagne flowed freely. The scent of lilies filled the air. Guests mingled beneath the twinkle of chandeliers, and for once, everything might just go smoothly. But something wasn't right. Throughout dinner, I noticed Madison, my perceptive, strong-willed daughter, growing increasingly uneasy. Her eyes kept darting between my parents and my ex-husband, Nathan, who sat just a few tables away. When the anniversary cake appeared, Madison suddenly gripped my arm. "Mom," she whispered, urgently, "we need to go. Now." I blinked, confused. "Why?" Her gaze hardened. "I'll tell you in the car. Please, if you're watching this on my channel, please take a second to like and subscribe. And drop your location in the comments. I want to know where you're tuning in from." This is the story of how my daughter's instincts uncovered a betrayal I never saw coming. Growing up in the Wallace household meant understanding that love came with conditions. My father had built a real estate empire from nothing and managed our family like a corporation. My mother curated our social standing with ruthless precision. Achievements were rewarded, disappointments were never forgotten. I thought I had finally earned their approval when I married Nathan Pearson, the golden son of one of my father's business associates. They adored him. Nathan had all the right credentials: charm, ambition, a business degree, and a pedigree. For 10 years, I tried to believe we had a solid marriage, but Nathan grew colder, more controlling. And when I discovered his affair with Kayla, his 25-year-old assistant, the illusion shattered. Our divorce was brutal. I was left to rebuild my life with Madison and Ethan, my sweet, sensitive 8-year-old son. We moved from our large colonial home into a modest 3-bedroom apartment. I picked up freelance graphic design work and worked part-time at a gallery. Shared custody added layers of stress. To my surprise, my parents seemed more supportive than ever. They attended Sunday dinners, gave gifts to the children, and made regular check-ins. I thought perhaps they had finally chosen me over image. Only Madison remained skeptical. "They look at you differently now, Mom," she said one night. "Like you're a broken project they need to fix." "They're trying to help," I replied. "It's their way of showing love." She shrugged, unconvinced. Over time, her distance grew. She skipped family dinners when she could. At gatherings, she was polite, but her eyes were always observing, watching. Ethan, on the other hand, basked in their attention. Fishing trips, baseball games, gifts I couldn't afford. My father started talking about sending him to his alma mater. "The Wallace legacy continues," he'd say, ruffling Ethan's hair. So when my parents announced a grand celebration for their 40th anniversary, I saw it as an opportunity. Maybe we could start fresh. I altered an old dress since I couldn't afford a new one, helped Mom with invitations, menus, and even created a photo album chronicling their life together. "Why are you trying so hard?" Madison asked. "Because that's what family does. We show up for each other." She didn't argue. But she didn't believe it either. The day of the party was postcard perfect. I spent the afternoon helping Madison get ready. I finally convinced her to wear the emerald green dress my mother had chosen. "Just for a few hours," I promised. "It'll make Grandma happy." As we stepped into the Oak Ridge Country Club, I was stunned. White roses and lilies graced every table, crystal chandeliers cast warm light over the polished floors. My parents stood at the entrance like royalty. "Brooke, darling," my mother air-kissed both cheeks. "You look comfortable." "And Madison, don't you look lovely? That color brings out your eyes." My father barely looked at me. He scooped Ethan into his arms. "There's my boy. Special seat waiting for you at the head table." A flicker of unease passed through me, but I pushed it aside. The ballroom filled quickly. Relatives, friends, and business associates. I played my part, gracious daughter, smiling politely, fielding questions about my divorce. Everything seemed fine, until they walked in Nathan and Kayla. He looked dashing in a tailored suit. She looked flawless in a designer gown. My stomach dropped. Did you know they were coming? I asked my sister-in-law Rachel. She looked guilty. I thought you knew. Your mom sent them a personal invite. Before I could respond, my parents were already hugging Nathan and complimenting Kayla. My father clapped him on the back like a long son. My mother admired her dress. When I caught my mother's eye, she offered a small shrug. Bygones, darling. Nathan's practically family. I retreated to the bar, my hands shaking. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Madison watching intently, texting someone rapidly. I should have paid attention. The celebration unfolded like a performance. Waiters glided across the floor with hors d'oeuvres. Laughter floated through the air. The photographer captured posed moments of joy. All the while, Nathan and Kayla were paraded through the room like VIPs. You're handling this well, whispered my cousin Melissa. I would have thrown my drink. I'm trying to be mature. For the kids, Ethan was at the head table between my father and Nathan. Madison, however, was harder to find. I finally saw her speaking with my Aunt Linda. They both looked tense. When I approached, the conversation stopped. Everything okay? Just catching up, Linda replied. Madison's such an observant young woman. Madison did not explain. Only, we were discussing family history. Before I could probe further, my father clinked a glass. Ladies and gentlemen. The room quieted. Diana and I are honored by your presence tonight. 40 years ago, I made the best business decision of my life. Polite laughter. Marriage is about legacy. About making difficult decisions, for the greater good. Sometimes that means prioritizing the future over temporary discomforts. His gaze shifted to Nathan, then Ethan, then to me. Tonight, we celebrate our past and secure our future. A strange silence followed. Guests clinked glasses, confused as dinner progressed. I noticed subtle shifts. Madison picked at her food, glued to her phone. Ethan was now perched on Nathan's lap. My father beamed down at them. My mother looked on with pride. I excused myself to the restroom and nearly collided with Aunt Linda. Brooke, she said, startled. I need to speak with you. Is everything okay? She hesitated. I overheard something troubling. Your father and Nathan have been discussing financial arrangements, transfers, custody. Your name came up. Words like irresponsible, unpredictable. My heart pounded. Before I could ask more, my mother appeared. Linda, the photographer, is ready. Back at the table, Madison was gone. Ethan was still with Nathan. Where's Madison? I asked. Terrace, maybe, my mother said with a dismissive wave. She's been moody. I found her outside, speaking intently into her phone. Yes, that's exactly what the document said. Is that even legal? She ended the call when she saw me. Mom, have you ever wondered why Grandpa keeps those documents in his office? The deeds, the trust paperwork? What are you talking about? Last time we visited, Grandma said to study in his office. I saw your name. Nathan's. Red flags everywhere. Literal red sticky notes. Asset transfers. Custody. A cold wind blew through me despite the summer warmth. Those are private. You shouldn't have been snooping. Even if they're about you. About us. She looked frustrated. Why are you mad at me for noticing? Then the doors opened. The cake cutting was about to begin. Just watch them closely, okay, she whispered. Especially Grandpa. The final blow came during the slideshow. 40 years of Wallace history. Nathan appeared in nearly every recent photo. Madison and I, almost invisible. It was as though they were erasing us. Then came my father's second speech. Tonight, we look to the future. We're taking steps to ensure Wallace traditions remain in capable hands. He beckoned to Nathan and Ethan to join him. Through proper channels and decisions, we protect our legacy, even if some don't understand. Madison grabbed my hand. We need to go now. What happened? Are you sick? Please, Mom, trust me. For once, her eyes were wide with fear. I nodded. I walked toward Ethan, intercepted by my mother. Leaving already. Send Madison with Brian. You and Ethan should stay. She's not feeling well. Nathan stepped in. Your father wanted to discuss Ethan's education fund. Another time. Don't be difficult. They're trying to help. Funny, they didn't help. Madison. We pushed past them. As we neared the exit, I heard murmured words. Transfer of deed. Custody modification. Wallace is keeping it in the family. My father appeared one last time. Brooke, be reasonable. This is for the best. Nathan and I have a plan. You always do, and it never includes me. As Madison, Ethan and I walked into the night, I realized something had shifted. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid to walk away from my family, and I had my daughter to thank for it. In the car, as we pulled away from the glowing country club and into the quiet dark, Madison finally began to explain. Aunt Samantha's been warning me for weeks, she said, her voice tight. She said Grandpa and Grandma might try something like this. My stomach dropped. Try what, Madison? To manipulate us, especially you. She told me to watch for signs custody interest, weird questions about your money, the house, and tonight, everything checked out. Madison pulled out her phone and handed it to me. There were dozens of messages, screenshots of conversations with Samantha, warnings, insights, and strategies. I've been watching them, Mom, she continued, and tonight confirmed it. When I disappeared during the party, I went to Grandpa's office at the club. I heard Nathan and Grandpa talking earlier. Something about final documents. I had to see what they were. Madison, you can't just go through private files, Mom. They're trying to take everything from you. I found property transfer papers for our old house, the one you grew up in, deeds with Nathan's name, documents that name Dad as Ethan's primary custodian. Your name's barely even there. She paused, then opened her photo gallery. I took pictures of everything. I scrolled through blurry but legible shots of legal forms. One showed my father's signature beneath Nathan's. Another bore a heading, Custody Modification Petition. I could barely breathe. There's more, Madison said quietly. When I went back to the party, I left my phone recording in my pocket. I captured everything they said. She played the audio. My father's voice rang clear. Nathan understands what's needed to maintain the Wallace name. Brooke's always been too emotional, too independent. This divorce allows us to restructure things. Then Nathan's voice, with the house in my name and custody of Ethan, we can ensure the legacy. Brooke would just sell the place or fund some gallery project. Then my mother, she always had questionable judgment. Remember that photographer phase? Thank goodness Nathan's stayed close. You're the son we always wanted. Tears blurred my vision. Madison leaned closer. They're manipulating Ethan to. Grandma told him if he lived with Dad, he could go to special schools and have more opportunities. Like you're holding him back. The betrayal hit harder than any blow. I couldn't let them announce something tonight and trap you publicly, Madison whispered. Aunt Samantha said Grandpa once ambushed her at a party, too. Signed everything behind her back. Then made it sound like she was crazy when she objected. I held Madison's hand tightly. Thank you for seeing what I didn't. For being brave. She exhaled shakily. I just didn't want to lose you. You always try to see the best in them. But this time, they're not on your side. That night, after we got home and I tucked Ethan into bed, Madison and I sat at the kitchen table, reviewing every piece of evidence she had gathered. Her courage stunned me. She had noticed everything I was too trusting or too broken to see. Around midnight, Madison finally fell asleep on the couch, phone still in hand. I opened my old laptop and logged into an email account Nathan and I had shared years ago. The password still worked. Inside the drafts folder were notes, messages he never sent, but saved. Richard agrees. Transfer of property before the school year. Custody modification to follow. Brooke was distracted by the gallery, unlikely to notice. Another draft, anniversary party, equals best timing. Diana worried about Brooke's reaction. Richard says family pressure will ensure compliance. My hands trembled. In the sent folder, I found emails to their family attorney. Requests to amend custody. Asset movement plans, all without my consent, at 2 a.m. I did something I hadn't done in 15 years. I searched for Samantha Wallace. I found her business website, sent a message. Brooke here. Madison showed me everything. I need to talk. Minutes later. Been waiting for this. Are you safe to talk? We spoke for over an hour. Samantha told me how, years ago, Dad had disinherited her during a similar public ambush. Made her look unstable. Told everyone she was selfish. Dad treats the family like a boardroom, she said. If you don't toe the line, you're cut off. Why didn't you ever tell me? I asked. I tried. But you were marrying Nathan, the heir apparent. You didn't want to hear it. Her words stung. Because they were true. I'm listening now. Then fight smart, she said. Document everything. Don't confront them alone. and don't sign anything. By dawn, I had a new resolve. I called my brother, Brian, the next morning. He'd always kept his distance. But when I explained, he sighed. I overheard some things, he admitted. I thought Dad was doing it for taxes. For Ethan's future, and for Nathan's, I asked. Silence. Dad never forgave you for divorcing Nathan, he finally said. Or for choosing art. Madison reminds him too much of you. He thinks she's a problem. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about property. It was about power, control, legacy, and my daughter had just saved me from being erased. Madison thrived in this period of honesty, no longer carrying the burden of protecting me from painful truths. She stayed in close contact with Samantha, who offered insight into our family's manipulation playbook. The most unexpected gift came from rebuilding a bond I had long thought lost, my sister. After 15 years of silence engineered by our father, Samantha and I reconnected over late-night calls and weekend visits. She had built a life far away, in Colorado, an interior designer, married to a kind professor, raising 2 children I barely knew. Dad uses the same playbook every time, she told me during her first visit to our apartment. Isolate the dissenter. Call them unstable. Use a family event to finalize deals already made in private. I exhaled. I can't believe I didn't see it. He counts on that, she replied. But he underestimated Madison. Indeed, Madison had become my fiercest ally. She helped me keep track of every interaction with my parents and Nathan, built timelines of events, and even explained things to Ethan in a language he understood. Mom isn't taking you away from Dad, I overheard her say gently. She's just making sure everyone plays fair, like when you and Jaden set the rules before starting a game. Brian, our brother, eventually chose a side, too. Though he stayed physically distant, he forwarded emails and financial records from Dad that proved how far the scheme had gone. The hardest part was accepting that I might never repair my relationship with our parents. I had spent most of my life shaping myself to win their love, choosing safe paths, silencing my doubts, and conforming to their standards. Now I saw clearly, their affection was conditional, their concern always laced with control. 3 months after the anniversary party, Jennifer, our attorney, called with a surprising update. Nathan wanted to meet. No lawyers, no parents. He's feeling the pressure, she said. Your father's plans are stalled, and Nathan's new fiancée isn't comfortable with the custody drama. I agreed to meet him. Public place. Madison nearby. Nathan looked pale, subdued. This has gone too far, he began. The filings, the lawyers, it's affecting Ethan. Or it's affecting your wedding plans, Madison muttered. Nathan ignored her. I'm willing to walk away from the property transfers and leave the custody agreement as it is. If you drop the allegations of manipulation. I studied him, the man who had once been my husband. Why now? He hesitated. Kayla's parents don't like the drama. They don't want to inherit a mess. Translation: image mattered more than integrity. I'll consider it, I said. But only in writing, with protections for both children's inheritance. As we negotiated, I realized I was no longer deferring or second-guessing. I was protecting my children. Myself. Later that week, Nathan and I sat down with a therapist. We explained the changes and reassured him he didn't need to choose sides. Does this mean Grandpa won't be mad at Mom anymore? He asked. We all love you, I said. And we're going to figure this out together. 6 months after the party, we sat across from my parents and Nathan in a law office conference room. Samantha and Madison flanked me. Jennifer led the discussion. My father opened. I object to Samantha being here. This is a family matter. She is family, I replied. Jennifer presented the evidence. Recorded conversations, document scans, and emails. The room grew colder with each revelation. My father's lawyer eventually stepped in to limit the damage. By the end, we had secured what mattered most, my inheritance, equal treatment for Madison and Ethan, and boundaries around future contact. As we left, my father muttered, I hope you're satisfied. You've destroyed this family. Madison turned, her voice calm. You destroyed it when you treated us like we didn't matter. We're just making sure you can't do it again. Madison thrived in the aftermath of truth. No longer burdened by secrecy, she flourished at school, built a bond with Samantha and her cousins, and helped Ethan understand fairness. Ethan needed time to adjust. Family therapy helped. One day, he said, Grandpa says Dad needs me more than you. I replied, you're my son first. You don't have to carry adult worries. With our legal case, 1, I bought a modest home. Safe, warm hours. My gallery work grew. So did my confidence. Nathan, freed from my parents' expectations, became a more present father. Even with Madison, for the first time, we co-parented with honesty. My parents struggled. Supervised visits at first. My father tested boundaries with promises to Ethan, but rules held. Slowly, respect grew. 1 year after that fateful party, Madison and I sat on the porch, watching the sky fade. "Do you think Grandpa and Grandma will ever change?" she asked. "Not really," I said. "But they can learn. If they must, why did they do it? They have everything." "It wasn't about money," I said. "It was about control. Punishing me for leaving Nathan. For being me." Madison nodded. "I'm glad we fought back. We wouldn't have one without you," I said. "You paid attention. That's what they didn't expect." I squeezed her hand. "The most valuable lesson is to trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is." She smiled. "Even if everyone acts like it's normal. Especially then." We sat in silence, peaceful, strong. I had fought to protect an inheritance, but the real legacy I gave my children was freedom from control, manipulation, and fear, and Madison had already embraced it. "What did you learn from all this?" I asked. She thought for a moment. "That family isn't about blood or names. It's about who shows up. Who tells you the truth, even when it hurts." And as the stars blinked awake above us, I knew she was right.